And what if they're not? What happens then? The Shadow Housing Secretary, Kevin Hollinrake, is here with us now. It's good to see you. Thanks for joining us on the programme. The problem is that you didn't build enough houses, did you, when you were in power? And that's given this government a big problem.
Well, we built record numbers. As Ed Conway, one of your colleagues,
yeah.
Exactly. So between 2013 and 23, 207,000 homes on average, new additions every year. That was the highest rate, net additions. That was the highest rate for 50 years, as he sets out. So we did have some success. We're not against building more homes, so we agree with those parts of the plan. What we disagree with are bulldozing greenfield, greenbelt sites. That's what we'll see. We'll see many of these homes delivered in rural areas, yet a lowering of targets in urban areas, particularly London. You've seen a 20% lowering of targets in London and a six-fold increase in some of the rural areas around the country like Westmoreland. How can that be fair on people in London who want to buy a house, or people in parts of the country, those rural areas or those areas with green belt? We're going to see those areas lost forever in terms of open countryside.
So what's your objection to building on green belt? Robert Jenrick was sat where you were yesterday and he said, build prisons on green belt.
Well, you should build things proportionately. It's about... I'm not saying no greenbelt can ever be built on. It's just making sure it is fair and the greenbelt is used where it's absolutely necessary. But that's not what we're seeing in these plans. We are seeing massive increases in housing in parts of the country that will have no alternative other than to build huge estates on greenbelt. At the same time, what they're doing is normally you would have planning committees can oversee those plans and can vote against them. We're seeing Labour now taking that right away. So there's planning committees, the people you elect in your local area, to be able to make sure that planning, that those homes go in the right place, completely swept aside, and the decisions are effectively made by central government, by planning officers, by inspectors. So all that democratic accountability will have been swept away and the bulldozers will simply go in, pile in without you being able to say anything about it.
So what's the answer then? We're an overpopulated little island and we need to build enough homes.
And we were building more homes. There's 1 million planning consents already been granted. There'll be another 1.5 million over the next 5 years anyway. So those planning consents were coming through. But it's just making sure we build the homes in the right places. That's why we had this urban uplift, building more homes in places like London, the cities around the country, because that's where homes are needed. That's been scrapped by Labour. That's why you've seen this 20% reduction in the targets for London, despite the fact Sadiq Khan was missing his targets by a mile anyway. How can that be right? And sticking those houses then in in areas with green belts and areas with high rural areas around the country. How can that be fair or right?
Okay, well, Labour's saying, the government's saying that when they came into power, your party had left 1.3 million households on social housing waiting lists, including 160,000 homes with children in them. Had to do something.
Well, we were doing something. As I said, I pointed out our record in housing delivery. We're a 50-year record. We built 550,000 affordable homes since 2010, 60,000 in 2022-23, a high rate of delivery of market value homes and of affordable homes. Yes, we want to step those plans up. The other thing we need to do, which I think
you missed your targets, and you had kids who were living in areas where they shouldn't have been.
We hit our target, 1 million homes in the Parliament. That's exactly what we hit. So
have a look at those numbers. I'm not sure that is true.
That's what we hit. Yeah. So we hit those targets and we wanted to deliver more. But the other thing we need to do, of course, is control migration. We have plans to do that. And what Labour have done, they've relaxed some of those plans to cut migration, which will mean a lot of those homes that are delivered for people coming into this country. And we wanted to put a brake on that. And that's what we see is there's 1.5 million homes. I think as again, one of your counterparts has said the weekend, 2/3 of those, roughly, will go to people who are coming to this country. Yet Labour are relaxing the plans that could mean more of those homes go to local people.
I'm looking at the numbers. The most recent figures on additional homes, 221,000 in 23-24. So reaching the 300,000 required would be a major uplift of 36% for this government to be able to achieve. So they're saying that there are not enough houses were built, so they won't be able to meet their figures this year because they can't build enough in the year. But what they have said is 1.5 million over 5 years.
That's what they've said now. That's a step up from where we were. We promised 1 million homes in the last Parliament, which we delivered, record numbers. Again, we're not again stepping up the numbers that are required around the country. In fact, we set up plans to do that ourselves, but it's where they were built. And we believe they should be built in urban areas and on brownfield sites, and Greenbelt as the very as a backstop measure, not the first measure. This is completely the way around. They're going to stick these homes in lots of parts of the country where there are green fields, green belt, and taking away the democratic accountability around that situation, which we think is totally wrong.
Apparently you did miss your target. That's what I've been reading. Only narrowly, but you did miss your target due to delays in finalising data. Is that not right?
No, it isn't. If you look at the time...
995,349.
And we set out for 1 million. But if you look at... It was a five-year period. It was a 5-year period run from the election in December the 12th in 2019. If you look at December the 12th, 2022, that's a 5-year period, over 1 million homes.
OK. 995,349.
Well, it's only the 12th of December. Those figures ran until the end of the Parliament, not until the end of the 5 years.
OK. It's only 5,000 anyway, but I make
5,000,
yeah. OK.
Yeah.
Do you think that bypassing local councils is necessary, though, in order to be able to reach these figures?
No, I think that's absolutely the wrong thing to do. So what will happen now is there'll be a local plan created, and if basically a very large development in your area accords with that local plan, there'll be no decision by the planning committee members, by those elected members that you elect to oversee house building plans in your area. They will have no say in whether that
How else is it going to get built? That's my question.
Well, we're building houses already. We're building those numbers. We set out a target. We're meeting those targets. We've seen that increased rate of delivery. Well, I don't think increasing the rate of delivery by taking away democratic consent is the right thing to do. This is a democracy. People should be able to elect the people in the local area to put a check and balance on what that council is doing and what central government is doing. Okay. I think it's wrong to take away that in this ambition to deliver more homes that are principally there to deliver more homes for people coming into this country. I think that's a wrong thing to do. What you should do is slow the rate of numbers of people in the country, okay, and make sure your housing delivery matches the need for local people.
OK. Let me just ask you before I let you go about Sarah Sharif and those disgraceful humans that were supposed to guard her from harm.
Well, it's just terrible. I mean, it's unthinkable what happened, and we all read about it, and it's just... so many failures right across the system. Poor little girl, but also her siblings who had also suffered similar abuse, and indeed some of this person's previous partners. How we didn't spot this, how we didn't see that it was the wrong thing to have those children with this animal, and let this happen is just... I mean, it's something we've got to look at, and we've got to make sure we learn from it, and people are held to account for not doing it. I agree.
I agree. So many of these stories.
So absolutely. And listen, some people do horrible things, and most of us do not. Most of us treat our children with respect, and we've got to put that in that context. But both the courts and the social services have cases to answer, and what they did and what they didn't do in terms of protecting poor Sarah Sharif. It's simply unthinkable.
OK. Thank you for taking the time to join us. Thank you.